Hello all and welcome back to What is on my frame. Today I have another charity quilt. It's got lots of pinks. It's got Asian themed fabrics on it with fans and cranes and flowers and other traditional drawings. So for this one, I've decided to try something new. Kind of like this border looks a little bit like clouds, honestly. So I'm trying out this kind of fun little cloud technique that I saw on Pinterest. And so basically you can start off with making a hook and then going out and doing 2 to 3 bumps and then going in for another hook, then coming out. And then you can also echo out and start your next cloud and work your way around. So that's the plan for this one. I've never really done it before, so that's why I've done a couple sketches on a notebook first, just to practice and get the motions all set up. Also for this filming, I finally got something that I can maybe hang my phone on, so you can get a better view of working the pattern as I quilt. So hopefully that will work out and it won't be too shaky. So without further ado, let's get this started. As you can see from the very top, I tend to try and make sure my tension is good before I start quilting. But to be honest, whenever you're quilting with a long arm, you'll probably be checking your tension, or should be checking your tension quite often, because sometimes your batting can affect it. Also, if you don't string the bottom bobbin correctly, that can affect it. So it's good to always just take time to check your bobbin and your tension throughout your whole entire quilting process, because at some point you may find that the tension was not good and there is loops and eyelashes on the back of your work, and then you may have to rip things out to make sure it's all stabilized again. So first tip is to always check your tension when you start. Another issue that you can see that I have is the camera isn't quite directed closely enough to the needle, and it's hanging down a little bit, so when I get closer to the back of the quilt, the bar that holds the portion of the quilt that you have just quilted gets into the view of the camera and the quilting process. So that's something I'm going to have to readjust once I get used to quilting with this phone on the machine, and hopefully this will get better over time. And also just trying to figure out what is the best rate at which to speed up the quilting process, because of course most of these quilts take maybe 40 minutes or more depending on the size and the complexity of the pattern to quilt, and I do not want you guys to have to watch that or want to watch that for 40 minutes of the 1x1 speed of quilting. So hopefully, yeah, just if you have any comments or suggestions on how to do that, feel free to message in the comments below and let me know what you think, and I can try and put those thoughts and processes into my videos. As I'm working on this pattern, you can tell that the clouds themselves are a little rough around the edges, but I think that's the kind of fun thing about quilting and free motion, is it kind of gives this organic rawness to your quilting. And of course, as you practice, you get better at forming more round shapes and having nice shapes, because you're getting that motor motion and memorization from your body down. And so, you know, it does look like clouds, but of course there are always ways to improve. Also, being able to quilt directly on the lines that you've done before would be useful, but sometimes it's a little hard, especially with this machine and the carriage that is on it. Granted, I did try a couple other carriages out during a quilt festival recently, and I tried the Moxie quilt machine, which was alright, but the carriage itself was extremely stiff versus something else that Handicraft would be offering. Of course, that is an entry-level quilting machine. That's just to help get people in the door because, of course, long arm quilt machines are fairly expensive. I've been very lucky to have been able to get mine through a donation, and I also help out with quilting charity quilts, which enabled me to get this machine. But I've been very lucky in that because I know the cost that it takes to get into long arming. So if you do have the money to afford something a little nicer, I would definitely try out other models as well. And if you can stretch your budget, I would purchase what you can afford and what you will be happy with versus, foregoing spending a couple $1,000s less just to have something. Because these long arms, if you treat them well, they will last you an extremely long time. So you want to get what you want the first time around and be content for quite a few years to come. Without having to constantly change it out. It's kind of like when you redo your kitchen. If you redo it and you forego some of the finishes that you wanted originally, at the end of it you may not be very happy with your design or the way that it's been completed because it wasn't up to your standards and you weren't willing to spend that extra little bit of money. So, like I said before, I would really suggest trying out your long arms and waiting and saving up to afford what you really want and like and would like to use for maybe even decades to come because they will last that long. Another model that I tried from Handy Quilter was the Amara. That one was on a carriage that was extremely smooth. It must have had ball bearings. It was very easy to move around. There was no strain on my body. There was also the option of having handlebars placed in different areas or moving them and adjusting them to fit them towards your body and what your body needs to work. So, like I said, make sure you try out all the different models, no matter even if those models are kind of out of your price range, just to get a feel for the quality of products and how it changes by each price set. Another thing that I look at when I'm looking at long arms is the fact that you can actually upgrade some of your long arms. So for instance, if you want to start out just doing manual work, you can do that. But it is also very nice to know that there is computerized components within your machine so that if you do decide to get a computerized model where you can do edge to edge with a computer and choose designs and enlarge it and copy it all the way across your quilt, you can do so, and that would just be getting an upgrade to your machine and not getting a whole new machine all over again. So I know Handy Quilter has a lot of that on their models. I believe the Amara has it, as well as maybe even the Moxie has the ability to a certain extent. But it is nice to have that kind of built-in option where you can just add in the computerized component later on if you continue to like long arming or wanting to turn it into your own business as well. Another thing to consider is not just, sticking with one brand. At the quilt show, the Moxie and the Handy Quilters seem to be the most staffed area for long arming, but of course there was also options like Bernina, and at some point I know that at another quilt festival that's coming in the new year, they'll have more long arms from different companies to try up there, so I'm hoping maybe I can get up there to try maybe Dome if there's Baby Lock, and just trying them out and seeing what every single vendor has to offer, honestly. Some vendors have better tech support and customer service than others. Some machines last longer than others, so it's always good to look into the different models that are out there for each and every company, seeing what they offer in terms of warranty and in service, and do comparisons like that for what else you would like to kind of be able to accomplish with your long arming. I hope that these tips help you out as you kind of go through your process of choosing a long arm, or at least maybe even doing some research into just looking into them. And don't be afraid to reach out to local guilds as well in your area about long arming for lessons, just to get your hands on them. Also seeing if there's used long arms in the community that are being sold as well. That's another way to get a hold of a long arm that hasn't seen maybe a lot of usage, and is local as well, so you wouldn't have to ship it in or anything like that. So as always, hopefully these videos are a mixture of entertaining and informational for you. And if you like these videos, please feel free to like and subscribe to my channel. That way I can bring more material to you guys. Also feel free to post comments in the comment section, talking about what you might want to see next, or if you think there's anything I could improve on. Please be gentle. I am not a professional long armor. This is more like a hobby and kind of a way for me to relax during these kind of stressful times with plagues and all. So as always, I hope everybody is staying safe, and as always, happy quilting. And here is the finished quilt. As you can see, you can kind of see a little bit of the cloud shapes kind of protruding from the design over this quilt. And it's very organic. I kind of like it, but of course I feel like I need to practice more of this just to get it under control and a little bit neater. But overall, I think it's kind of a fun way to give texture to this quilt and to, you know, have a quick, fast project during your week and days. As always, thanks for watching.